Alright, so here's my deck profile of my wind-up deck post Primal Origins. There's a few changes. I haven't done too much testing with some of them, but I think this is a better build than I had previously. And so far, I've been liking how it's gone. So you've got the standard 11 wind-ups, no explanation needed. If you do want an explanation, check out some of my earlier deck profiles, and I talk about it a little bit there. And then the only other monsters I'm running are the 4 of the hands. I decided to try this out right before my last regional, and I really like the theory of it, but I didn't get very much testing in. And at the regional, it was actually really good. I've liked the results so far a lot. Sometimes the deck can struggle with monster removal, and Fire Hand goes a long way to help with that. And Ice Hand allows you to get around a lot of continuous spell and trap cards that can cause the deck problems, like Kaiser Coliseum and Goes In Match and Skill Drain and things like that. So both of them together really add a lot to the deck without much commitment of deck space. And I like running around 15 monsters, and the fact that I can search all of them or special summon all of them from the deck helps with deck thinning a lot. Usually all the monsters you'll want will be in your hand, and you'll just draw spell and trap cards. 2 duality like usual, it's the best amount for consistency in the deck. Book of Moon's just one of the best traps you can run. 3 MST still. MST isn't as good against some decks, but there are still decks where you really need the MST. So it's too good not to run, and even against decks where it's just okay, it is okay. You can just 1-for-1 it. So it's definitely a card you want to have. 3 Factory, it's the core of the deck, pretty obvious. 1 Soul Charge. I think I may have already talked about this, but 1 Soul Charge is definitely the best in windups. Sometimes you can struggle to put monsters in the grave early on. In late game, a lot of times you won't have very much life points because you'll dodge attacks with rabbits to keep your monster alive, and you'll crash your hands into your opponent's monsters. So usually late game and early game this isn't that good, so you really only want it mid game, and it's really bad if you end up drawing 2 at the wrong time and then you can't use it. So 1 is best. Even with the consistency problems, it's good to have it, so you definitely want to run at least 1 so that you do draw it. It does make good game-winning plays at times. I'm still running the 2 Messenger of Peace. The fact that Ice Hand can attack under it has definitely weakened Messenger of Peace. I still feel like it's a good choice though, and you can always side it out if you're playing against a deck that's not that good against. It's not that good against Geargia, so Messenger of Peace is borderline at the moment between being a main deck card and being a side deck card, but I still think it's worth playing in the main deck. It depends on your meta though. Oh, and also, since we're playing Ice Hand in the deck now, you can attack under Messenger Piece with your Ice Hand as well as the Rabbit. And then for your traps, I'm running the 3 staples. They're really good. I went back to 3 Fiendish Chain. Breakthrough Skill was testing really badly after it had been good previously. I was running 2 and 2 Fiendish and Breakthrough, and I was really liking that. And it provided a lot of effect negation between the 2 of them. But lately, I haven't been playing as many artifact decks, and Fiendish Chain is just completely better than Breakthrough Skill against other decks. Fiendish Chain negates effects for more than 1 turn, and it stops attacks. Also, MST has gone down in popularity, which has boosted Fiendish Chain's ability. 2 D-Prison, I was playing this before, and it's just gotten better with the hands. So it's a really good card right now. Definitely want to be running this. And then 2 Blackhorn Heavens. It's really good against everything. Almost every deck will Exceed Summon at least once in the game, or Synchro Summon, so it's almost never dead. And it's a really powerful card when it goes off. It's basically Solemn Warning where you don't pay life points. And then 3 Wiretap. I haven't really tested this too much yet, so I don't know how good it is at 3. I did like it at 2. I feel like at 3 I'll be able to draw it more consistently, and one of the main problems I had with the card was I didn't always have it when I wanted to. So I feel like with 3 copies I'll be able to draw it more consistently, so we'll see how that goes. The big changes to my main deck, I decided to side with Thunder King. He's not as good right now. He's not that good against the hands, and he's also not that good against artifacts. So there's a lot of decks where I don't really want Thunder King in my deck, so I just side him. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll side out the hands to make room for my monsters, to make room in my monster lineup, and then I'll side in Thunder King and a few other cards. And my opponents will think I'm playing the hands still because I played them in the first game, and so they'll have dead noblemens of cross out against my deck that I just won't set at all, so they'll never be able to use them. So that's a pretty cool trick. And then I also cited the Mind Crush. The Mind Crush wasn't testing as well as it had been before, so I think the format's not that good for Mind Crush at the moment. So it's still in the side deck because it's a really good card against certain decks. Those are the main changes. I also used to side the tour guides, but I cut them for space to put the Mind Crush in. Tour guide is still good to make Alucard against the right matchups, but you can actually kind of use Fire Hand to pop face down monsters, and it's not too hard to make Alucard even without tour guide. So I don't think the tour guide is quite needed at the moment, but it's still a good card. It's just there's better cards. And I'm also citing the 3 Max C. You really need this against certain decks like Infernities. It's the only chance you have against some decks when you're going second. And then 2 Twisters, because some continuous spell and traps killed this deck. I used to like Dust Tornado, but I actually had a Dust Tornado wiretapped, and that lost me the game once. So that was kind of unfortunate. Twister would have been a lot better there. And then I side the Dark Hole. Dark Hole is still really good against decks like Geargia, and it's actually good against the hands too. You can use Dark Hole on your first turn when you don't have any spell traps or monsters on the field, and then your opponent's hand won't get their effect. Fissure and Soul Drain are still really good cards against decks that need the graveyard. Light Imprisoning Mirrors mostly for Bujins, but it also hits a lot of other stuff too. Vanity's Emptiness, Needle Sealing, and Compulse are all powerful traps that are really good against certain decks, and you just side them in as needed. My extra deck is the same as it has been since Primal Origins came out. The only thing I added when Primal Origins came out was a Ragna Zero. I dropped an Alucard for this, and I haven't changed it since. It's been running pretty well. Ragna Zero comes in handy. It's when you resolve its effect, usually it's a game changer, and it's a +2 every time you get it off, and you can use it on your opponent's turn, so it's like playing another trap, basically. Your opponent, whenever they summon a monster, you can just use this to destroy it. Obviously, this only works against decks like Fire Fist or Gravekeepers, where all their monsters are boosted up by some continuous spell. And then I'm running 2 Abyss Dwellers still, and I was doing this before the hands became popular, but this has become even better with those around. Abyss Dweller is an out to both of them. It's also an out to artifacts, so it's an even better monster than it was, and I was already running 2 before. So it's a really good card to run 2 of, and a lot of times your opponent won't expect it, and they'll only be able to deal with 1 of them. I don't really think I need to talk about any of the other extra deck monsters. I'll just scroll over each of them briefly. If you want to know my logic on all of these, you can check out some of my previous deck profiles, and I talk about all of them there. I've been running all of these for a long time, and I think you really need all of these monsters. There are other extra deck monsters I would like to run. There's just not room. These 14 monsters are just too good, plus the double Abyss Dweller. So that was my deck profile, windups, post Primal Origins. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to check out some of my other stuff. All links up after this.